Hi friends, I'm Prairie Vintage. My name's Linda. I'm an energy intuitive reader here on YouTube, and I use spirits, my intuition, the tarot to communicate energies to you guys. Amazing, beautiful viewers. Today's reading, we're taking a look at a healing message from your future self. And what is your future self wanting to communicate to you in regards to whatever it is you're needing to hear right here, right now. All right, so we'll pick your three options to choose from for this pick a card reading. At any point you are drawn to any one of these cards, you can select from the timestamp, which will be in the description box and in the pinned comment below. It will take you directly to your pick. We will reveal these cards shortly, and we will be pulling a charm for those of you guys needing a little bit more guidance into your pick. And let us take a look. Option number one, you guys have card number 24 with researching the mystical world. Researching the mystical world, card number 24. Option number two, you guys have 31 with invoking guides, gods, and guardians. Invoking guides, gods, and guardians, 31. Option number three, you guys have 5 with alchemizing confusion into clarity. Alchemizing confusion into clarity, number 5. All right, so let's pull a charm for each of these. Option 1, you guys have the ladder. Option number 2, you guys have the umbrella with a little flower on the handle. Option number 3, you guys have the, I was going to say the broom, but it's a dress on a hanger. It looks like a little broom, but it is a dress. A beautiful dress on a hanger. Kind of looks like a Marilyn Monroe dress. All right, so I will move this box out of your way, and I will leave the video running for a bit. And I will see you guys at your pick. Hello, my gorgeous pile 1. I hope you guys are all doing very well today. You guys picked card 24 with researching the mystical world and the ladder for your pick. So before we get into your reading, what is this reading about? Well, your future self is wanting to communicate a healing message in regards to what you're needing to know right here, right now, that's going to be helpful for you in whatever sort of situation or energetic field you're sitting in. So who better than your future self to sort of give you guidance or just communicate to you what you're needing to know. So I have pre-shuffled oracle cards. I have not looked at them. We will get into these. So I do ask you use your intuition, what you will see, feel, or hear to determine whether the messaging is resonating for you, if it is the right message for you. All right. So if you want to sit in for the intuition, tune in, and then we can sit throughout the card layout. And if you are ready to go to your main reading, you can select from the main reading timestamp. Although let's tap into this sort of initial energy to see whether this is something that you can resonate with. So I feel like the most important thing going on in your world right now, I think, is your spirituality. You know, potentially not your physical world. Your physical world is something that's kind of taking a back seat, I feel. And I feel like you are expanding your consciousness and your awareness. I feel like you're wanting to have ascension in your own spirituality. And so this requires you to have a sort of a different understanding of everything around you, how you perceive yourself, how you perceive the world around you. And I'm also picking up this could certainly be because you've come out of a painful situation, or you're trying to cope with, or have been through a bumpy, painful sort of suffering here, that the only way sort of out is to attach yourself to a greater understanding that there's more to you, that there's more to spirituality, that there's more understanding you can have of a greater truth that releases you from suffering. And so I feel your future self is coming through acknowledging you working hard on your ascension, you putting in energy, effort towards expanding your consciousness and your awareness to things that you might have been detached from for, I don't know, maybe all your life. Like, you're certainly coming into a great awakening, a spiritual awakening, enlightenment, broadening your understanding of the mystical world. And it's impacting you quite significantly to make changes in your life. You know, to get out of tough situations. And maybe there's an energy here of feeling like you could have been stuck or stagnant or very challenged, and the only way to get out is to get as much sort of information as you can about a bigger reality, such as consciousness and greater truth, greater purpose, before, you know, making changes. Because I feel like changes have been hard. And so I feel like you're aligning all of your sort of spiritual world and your understanding to your core values so that you can make right decisions and changes in your life. But I feel like you're ready for change. I feel like you've gone through a journey of suffering. I feel like you've you're ready to make changes here. Okay, so let's take a look at these oracle cards and see what your future self is wanting to communicate here. So we have 12. To love life through labor is to be intimate with life's innermost secrets. Work. So this is very interesting because this is all about the physical, you know, what we do day in, day out, what we're committed to. You know, we give our commitment to work, which is more of the physical reality. It is very much the opposite of the mystical world. And so we're reconciling what we do day in, day out, and knowing that we're not our thoughts, and we take action on our thoughts, and we commit ourselves to taking action, but beneath the action, there's a greater self, there's a greater purpose, there is life's secret. But the physical world and the spiritual world go hand in hand. So I feel like there's a balance that you're trying to create here in regards to your physical world, because you cannot completely detach from the physical world, but you don't want to be on autopilot. And so you're finding balance from what your soul, your spirits, and what you are understanding as awareness and consciousness to make decisions in your life, so that your outer world can reflect your inner world and what you understand. And we see a beautiful baby here, which is all about being reborn, the innocence. So I feel like this time in your life, there's this being reborn to how you see things. And although potentially your set of circumstances could be the same or limited in some way, you're trying to find that there is no limitation, that how we engage with these things, how we see these things, how we separate ourselves from what we thought was once who we are and what we need to do, and we start to align ourselves better with our physical world, you know? So I feel like you are aligning yourself with a more reflective physical world. And it could be through your career, but I feel like it's just everything around you. Your career, the people around you, your lifestyle, what you believe, what you dedicate yourself to. Communication, number 14. The frequency of communication supports our ability to exchange information in many different forms. It reminds us to run every piece of information, both incoming and outgoing, through our heart, the center of our truth, to stay in the flow of the source and balanced exchange. Yes. So if we're on autopilot, we tend to not review in our heart space what we're doing, and we continue to take action, even though it might not be for our most authentic, sort of greatest self. And so I feel with this communication, this is all about authenticity. And when we run it through our heart space, we know that it is not impacted by conditioning, by indoctrination, by programming. So we're not running on program. We're stopping to really be in the present moment and have awareness, consciousness. And so I feel like this is everything coming in, and also you're very present about sort of what you're outputting at the same time, that it lines up with authenticity. I'm also getting Sagittarius energy and Temperance, which is about the balance. And I feel the balance here is the inner world reflecting the outer world, your true inner self, your authenticity to be reflected to you in the outside world. Shelter. So this always gives me root chakra. Okay, and root chakra is generally where there's a lot of challenges when it comes to our experience. You know, it's like our base fundamentals. You know, when we don't have the root chakra aligned, everything is out of balance. So when there's blocks in the root chakra, we feel very ungrounded. You know, we could be suffering from addictions. We could be suffering from feeling like the whole world has more control or power over us, and we don't feel safe. We don't feel secure. We feel sort of at the mercy of everything is happening out there to me, rather than I have the ability to understand that there's a greater truth. But it starts with the root self. And so this is like really rocking the foundation of who you are. Like, I feel there has probably been a shedding of old self here, like in a quite significant way when it comes to your core values, your beliefs. And so sometimes this leaves us with the void, because we don't know then who we truly are. But we know that whatever we were in the root chakra, or whatever we were experiencing there, was making us suffer, or making us sort of take automatic actions, being in programming. Okay, when we're in programming, we feel as though there's a compulsion to be that way, because we identify as the addiction, we identify as the thing, but we're not the thing. And so shelter also, it gives me that protective energy, you know, like and when we're in protective energy, we're kind of, I feel here, reactionary. And this is something that can just kind of happen on autopilot, rather than being very responsive. So we might be identifying where we're in reaction and how we can be responsive, you know, because I feel like there's a program, a habitual way maybe of us dealing with things in our own life, to take heed, to take cover, to protect ourselves. And it is all we've ever done or known, until we shine the light of awareness and we say, is this really aligned with my authentic self? Or will I continue running and hiding or being reactionary rather than being empowered here? Wow, okay, this is quite the reading, you guys. Contribution. You see the heart here, and we see the tree. So the tree is all about life, stability, security. It is the family tree, our ancestors. And the heart is all about the heart consciousness, which is the authentic self. The heart doesn't know of programming or ego. The heart doesn't make reactionary decisions. The heart is responsive, and it knows the right thing all the time, to choose love, to choose the most loving thing. It does not want anything but to give of love and service, which makes us feel good. We never feel bad when we're acting out of heart, when we're in service to the heart. So I feel like we're now recognizing we want to align ourselves with being of service to the heart to find better stability in our life and find that security that maybe we didn't have, or it was an illusion of having some sort of false security, some false protection, but we were always either running or reactionary, or it was always at risk of what was happening out there in our circumstances. But we know that circumstances come and go, and whatever is constant is our awareness of these circumstances. And no one can take away our awareness, our consciousness. And this awareness is the space that we have between actions and thoughts and things that come and go and suffering. And so the truth here is that you have something more within you that's ready to give to the world, that will provide you with a rock foundation, okay? A rock foundation, not something that is transient or based on your set of circumstances that might come and go. So we have 35, blessed with gratitude. Look at that. Or the number 8. So I do feel like the highest vibration is love and also gratitude, because when we are grateful for a set of circumstances that are something to rejoice in, something that we've been blessed with, and that is where we place our energy and our focus, we generate more of this blessing. If we put our energy and our effort towards what doesn't work and what's been suffering, we generate more pain. And so I feel like your future self coming through here is talking about this focus of energy, because although everything isn't aligned on the outside, the true essence of who you are and all that matters and all that's ever been and all that will ever be is already within you. It is not something you need to attain. And that happiness isn't something out there. Happiness is already within you, there to be discovered, there to be embraced, there to be recognized, okay? And we have meditation. So how do we tap into this silence? You know, the self here that's beyond the experience, the self here that is connected to source through meditation. And we could still the mind. We could make space between us and the suffering. We can observe that our thoughts come and go, but it doesn't dictate who we are, because us as the observer see these thoughts appearing. We're not selecting these thoughts, you know, from the catalog of thoughts saying, I'd like to think about how to suffer. These thoughts pop up. And in meditation, we learn to not attach to the thought. We don't energetically charge the thought with feeling and take action. We see the thought come as a cloud in our mind, okay, and the sky is our consciousness or silence, and we see the cloud come in the thought, and then we put distance between us and that thought, and there we find peace, and there we find satori, there we find the calmness that brings us closer to enlightenment. So I feel like you've been searching for peace, and you might have been practicing a lot of meditative actions, and I feel like you also have been researching here, you know, the mystical world when it comes to things we can't really see, but we know to be true. Concepts of spirituality, and I feel like you're making progress here for sure. And here we have the whirlwind 46, or the number 10. So this is like a twister here, and I do feel like the twister could be an upheaval. You know, our whole life has been turned upside down in some way, and 10 is about ending. So I feel like in order for there to be a new beginning or a rebirth, there needs to be an upheaval in our life. And so we know that people who become enlightened are ones who have gone through a lot of pain and suffering and say, no more. I want to make change in my life. I want to make change in my life. You know, they get pushed to that pain, and sometimes they have to really get to that threshold before change is made. And so I feel like there's been a lot of upheaval, and it's been for a reason here, to bring you closer to your higher self, to ascend to your greatest version, to bring you closer to God, source, to know that you are source, you are oneness, you are the creator, expressing yourself through this life. And this body comes and goes, and this mind comes and goes, but you are consistent. Your energy, your essence, your consciousness, it cannot disappear. 22 with patience, and 22 is a master number. It's about being divinely guided throughout our relationship with people and things, and how we interact with things. It is also about healthy energetic boundaries, and I feel we are learning how to engage with everything around us, because we are in relationship with everything and everyone around us. And here we see all the butterflies, which is that massive transformation when we can no longer go back to the caterpillar stage. We can't be the person we were before we transformed. And for some of you guys, I could feel here it could have been due to a relationship with someone that has triggered this. Okay, but like I said, we're in a relationship with everything, and any sort of massive life experience, like an NDE, could even create this sort of shift, this upheaval in our life. And so I feel we're reflecting back on what's sort of transpired here as suffering, but also as this gratitude we have to making this massive shift in our life step by step. I feel you're being guided here, okay? Very guided. And with the patience, I feel it has been quite the process, because we don't just overnight, when we're on our spiritual journey here, have a conceptual sort of complete picture. And so the mind starts to reach at things so that it can conceptualize, because it feels lost and we don't like the void. The mind isn't comfortable with not knowing. Sitting in a space of no thought scares and terrifies the mind, because then the mind feels it is going to die. The ego will feel like we're snuffing it out. And so the ego is going to make up all sorts of stories that we need to know. Okay, and the ego is going to come through the mind as thought. You're this, you're that, it should be this, it should be that, and all of this is programming. But when there's a baby, we don't tell the baby that it should already know this and it should already know that. We have patience for this baby child to go through life, to learn life lessons in newborn eyes, you know, with imagination, with creativity. It's not snuffed out. We don't tell the child not to be creative. At some certain point in life, we drop our creativity. We believe we need to be in a certain way. But I feel like the patience here is you being patient with your rebirth, because I feel like things have been turned upside down. Discernment. Okay. And we have the eye here that's seeing. And so I feel like there is a lesson of discernment here, you know, because now that we are aware, now that we're not acting out of programming and subconscious, we need to understand that we can use discernment to our advantage. And so I feel like there is a recognition of what do I want to engage with and what do I not want to engage with, and really seeing where we might be on autopilot, because sometimes we do things we don't want to do and we're not sure why we do it. And sometimes we're stuck, like I said, in addictions and bad behaviors, or just a way of being that is perpetuating the outside circumstances that we continue to see in front of us. And so if we believe ourselves to be our set of circumstances and continue to project this sort of understanding, we continue to repeat. And if we say, for example, to put in practical terms, I am someone that no one loves. You know, I'm not worthy of love. And we continue to feed that thought. We continue to see that in front of us. But our heart knows that we are one with the Creator. That sort of thinking or belief is not aligned with the ultimate truth, which is you are love. How could you, being love, not be loved? Because you are love. And so this feels disjointed. And so anytime we have a feeling come through that doesn't feel good, it's our alarm system saying your thoughts aren't aligned with the greater truth. Run this thought through your heart center. Is this thought aligned with a greater truth of oneness of the Creator? Or is this thought something that has been programmed, some belief, an ego voice coming through, projecting what you see here? Because then you become entrapped in your environment. So we have discernment. We now take a look at all our thoughts. We now take a look at all our actions and say, is this aligned with my highest self? Or is this something that I've just been sort of engaged with here? More discerning between right and wrong for us. Okay, now there's no such thing as really right and wrong, but does this make me feel good, or is this making me feel bad? And am I fueling this bad energy that I'm feeling, or this negative emotion? And so I think this is the point where we make major shift in our life here. Facing my shadow removes darkness from the world. Yes. So as we go through this process, which I feel is well underway already with you, we become of the mind that it isn't about us so much anymore, that it becomes we are connected to everyone else, and we can make this world a better place by focusing on self, by dealing with our own egos, by taking a look at what's going on from within us. By removing the darkness from ourselves, we make the world a better place, and we raise the vibration. And so we want to be of service. And that makes us feel good. And it's like a feedback loop. The more with this contribution we give of self, of service from the authentic heart place, the more comes back to us and we start to feel secure. And it's that rock place that can't be taken away from us. Because we know we're no longer at the mercy of it's out there and it's happening to us. We're creating the foundation here by being in our highest sort of vibration, which is that of love and service, to give to the world. And how we give to the world is we need to be complete. We need to know that we are pure love. We need to know that we are an energy here that is already whole and complete. That the only suffering we feel is that of the mind stories and the attaching to an experience and believing it is part of who we are. When in reality, the only reality is the right in here, right now. There is nothing besides what is happening right here, right now. And so everything that has happened isn't in the reality. And once we learn that, we no longer attach to it. We no longer believe that to be who we are. But we do need to shed blocks that we carry within us. And we need to greet the pain that sits within us. And we don't suppress it. And I feel you've done this. So I'm going to see if I put a timestamp here. I feel like I've been channeling. Okay, your messages were coming through really strong from your higher self. So let me sit here and see what's, I'm going to do this. You can click on the timestamp to take you to the main reading and hopefully we get some new information here from your future self. So beautiful pile number 1. I highly suggest you go and listen to the card layout because your channeling came through with each card. And I feel it was your higher self kind of walking through this journey that you've been on. And I feel this journey has been quite the journey, like very painful here, but it couldn't have happened any other way. That I feel you're being reborn. Okay, and this rebirth is bringing you back to your innocence, bringing you back to your heart center, bringing you back to authenticity. We are no longer focused on the physical world so much as what is eternal here within us. Finding peace within ourselves, making this massive transformation from within so we can experience it on the outside. And we are recognizing our programs, our shadows, where we're on autopilot so that we can make better choices and decisions for ourselves. And sometimes it comes with having to sit through the unknown and silencing the mind. And sometimes it comes with everything we've known to depend on is flipped upside down. But we stay in a safe place from within us, knowing that our true core cannot be taken away. And physical things and our situations and circumstances could come and go and be completely upside down. But our unwavering self, our truest self, is not impacted by this. And so your future self is talking about this journey you've been on, and also talking about why this is sort of happening, and you really sort of becoming in the present moment, very conscious of what you say and do and interact, and because you're aligning with a higher version of self in order to raise your vibration here on earth so that we can contribute to the whole being greater consciousness. And I feel as though there's an awareness here that you have, that what you do to others comes back to you, and there is no separate self, there is no out there, there is only one reality, which is consciousness. And everything that happens kind of comes in and out of consciousness in form, okay? But it's not the eternal self. The eternal self is consistent. So thoughts come and go, people come and go, pain comes and goes, experiences come and go, work comes and goes. And so when we attach to that, we allow ourselves to go through opening ourselves up to experience suffering. Because when that eventually lets us down or doesn't fulfill us, which at some point it will change because it's not everlasting, we feel suffering, we feel sadness, we feel a negative emotion. But when we know that our external world is ever changing and we do not attach to it, because we are consciousness and we are the creator creating these sort of realities that are not necessarily real so much as projections, we can choose to experience it in a positive way. We could choose to experience it in a negative way. And so you're learning about this discernment, and your future self is saying it started with the gratitude we have for what you already have. After this tornado, which I feel has already happened in your life, this twister, things being turned completely upside down, that you were able to find a peaceful sort of place to put space between you and the negativity that's happened and the experience that's happened and the thoughts that come with that experience, to still the mind, to find peace, to find balance. And the more you found this place through either meditation or stilling the mind, there was a massive transformation, and you could lean into your gratitude for what is love, what is blessed here in your life. And the more you connect with that energy, the more your outer world starts to bring blessings to you. And so I feel like your authentic self is coming through here, and the false self is falling away. And as the false self falls away, the identity of the ego and the programming falls away, and we feel a little bit helpless because it's the ego trying to stay alive and scratch and claw and throw everything it can at you, because it knows your ways, to try to convince you of something other than a greater truth. That is, you don't need to listen to the mind or act on mind. Okay, you just need to feel into the heart, and the heart has no ego, so the heart only knows of the proper way to be. It's not reactionary, it's responsive, and it comes up with the best way to deal with situations from a loving heart place. You can never go astray, you can never feel pain. I mean, you could feel pain, but not suffering that comes with pain, okay? Because the pain is felt through the body. The pain can come, but when we attach to it, the story we give to it, then we sit in suffering. And so we can make decisions not to suffer. We can acknowledge that pain exists, but when we find the peace, we make enough space between us and the pain that it no longer takes control of us. We are in control of our own life. And I feel like your future self is showing your contribution to this world by healing yourself. You're healing the world. You're raising the vibration of the world here, okay? By coming into the greatest version of yourself, by digging yourself out of mindsets that might have had you stuck. And I feel like there's a wanting to learn as much as you can about yourself and your spiritual side. And so your higher self's also coming through here with everything you need to know is already within you. There is no other guru, there is no other intelligence other than the source that you are already connected to. And so do not judge yourself, do not compare yourself to anyone else or where you're at. You already have the intelligence within you to understand this stuff. And when I say understand, it's more of an inner standing, not a mind understanding, okay? Because we can have people that have a logical sort of mind understanding through you know, their education and through their reading of books and taking in information. But the truth here is your experience, which is felt through you. Okay, your experience is felt through you, and so it either becomes something that you already know intuitively and you don't know how you knew it, or something that doesn't resonate with your heart space. So I feel like you have an inner knowing here, okay, and there is no need for you to mentally chase more information about understanding this stuff so much. And I mean, it's fun to expand our consciousness and learn through teachers. But I see here that you are the best teacher here, okay? That's no one's going to no one here is going to be the better teacher for what it is you need to know of self other than yourself. And this only comes through sitting silent, because then your authentic self comes out by asking your heart, stopping, asking your heart, is this coming from my heart space or is this coming from my mind ego? You know, every time we check in with the heart and we see, is this action coming from a heart space or is this coming from a desire to attain something or protect something, because the ego only knows of protecting itself and wanting to attain, whereas the heart has no ego. Okay, so I feel your future self is showing here this process that's happened, this recognition of you being reborn. And I don't know where in the sort of process you are here, but I feel that it's been challenging, and I feel like you're still sort of going through this, but we are all on our road to ascension here. But I feel like the worst of it is over. And if you're in the thick of it, your future self is saying the worst of it is coming to an end as soon as we pull ourselves out of this, and we have the ability to do this. We don't need to sit and suffer. We can make the decision right here, right now, how we connect and see ourselves. You know, we can see ourselves as the creator, or we could choose to see ourselves as a victim of our circumstances, and that we got to wait for out there to change before in here can change. And once we know that inside we only need to shed what doesn't serve us, the true self is there waiting for us. It's already there. And this is going to help to transform the situation a lot faster for you, so that your outside world can now reflect your inner sort of peacefulness. Okay, so pile number 1. This was quite the reading. I love you very much, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye. Hello, my beautiful pile number 2. You guys picked the umbrella and card 31 with invoking guides, gods, and guardians. Triple G. So before we get into this reading, what is this reading about? Well, your future self is coming through with healing messages for you, and it's coming through as a future self wanting you to know this information that's going to help you potentially in your existing circumstance or situation. And I have pre-shuffled oracle cards. I've not looked at them. Okay, and this will help for you to tune into your intuition, what you will see, feel, or hear throughout this reading to determine whether this messaging is right for you, and only you can do this. So you can sit throughout this card layout, or you can click straight away to your main reading if you are so inclined. Now, I cannot promise that the channeling doesn't come through as I lay the cards out, as it did for pile 1. Okay, but I will sort of channel as best I can here. So let's tap into what this initial energy is all about. Well, first thing that came to mind with this umbrella is protection. You know, and when we have guardians, gods, and guides, it's like we're needing protection, or we're feeling protected, or we are protected here. Okay, so I don't know which it is yet, what your future self is saying, but protection is coming through very heavy here. Okay, and I am feeling like also ancestral protection, which isn't showing up here. But with invoking guides, gods, and guardians is almost like a need to understand that we can welcome these beings, or we can understand that there is an energy that could come through here to guide us, that we don't need to go it alone, that we don't need to feel alone or abandoned. Okay, and so 31 is the number 4, and 4 is all about structure and foundation, stability and planning. You know, and planning's coming through here as if we ask our guides, you know, if we pray to God, if we know that we have guardians here or ancestors, and we could plan to utilize them, then we start to focus on the things we can focus on and know that we're ultimately protected here from the storm. Okay, so let's take a look at what's going on here. So we have sing and dance together and be joyous with marriage, and the number 5. 5 is challenging because it is about conflict, loss. It's also about rebuilding and change. We have sing and dance together and be joyous with marriage. Okay. We have 25 with emergence, or the number 7. The frequency of emergence invites us to approach our reality with a childlike attitude of innocence and wonderment, and to watch and celebrate the beauty that unfolds from that place. Wow. So I like this energy with the joyous here in this emergence. And innocence coming through. Acceptance. Look at that beautiful card. And we have ingenuity. And we have contemplation. And we have unique well-being with card number 16, or the number 7. So we have 7 coming out twice. 7 is about faith, wisdom, reflection, understanding. 7 is also the Chariot, which is all about movement and success. Unique well-being. And we have golden memories. And we have the tent with 37, or the number 10. So the tent is all about temporary sort of situations. It's sort of more of a transient energy here. And so we had 4 coming through, which is more of a stable structure foundation. And unlike this tent here, 10 is all about endings. And we have 27, or the number 9. 9 is also about endings. It's about fruition, completion, and fulfillment. So we have generosity. And we see the bouquet here. And in the Lenormand, the bouquet is being shown we're appreciated. Generosity. And we have prayer with 25. So 25 coming out twice. You might want to look up 2525 as angel number and see what comes through. And prayer is all about invoking the guides, gods, and guardians here. Okay, and look at the storm weather here. So we have the umbrella, you know, to weather this storm period. We have the mermaid sort of helping this person to shore, or protecting this person from the turbulency of the storm. And the ship is all about movement. And we were getting 7 coming through twice, which is about movement. Okay. And even the tent is about movement, you know, not being stagnant in one place here. Resolution. And it looks like she's dressed for a funeral. And I was getting an ending here. You are worthy. Look at that. More water energy here. Water's all about emotions. You are worthy. Okay, so let's move these so that we can get more space. All right, pile number 2. Let me sit here with this energy to see what your future self is wanting to tell you, because this one didn't come through as one did. So just give me a minute, okay? You can click on the timestamp, will take you directly to the reading. Okie dokie. Pile number 2. I think there's a period of uncertainty around you right now. Uncertainty. And it could really swing, determining on your energy and where you put your focus. Okay, what we give energy, what we feed energetically perpetuates, intensifies. And so I feel like what your future self is saying here is that there's a situation here that we're having to sort of surrender to, accept what is, and stick to a greater truth here of understanding. Okay, that if we start to feel lower energy, then that's our compass within us telling us that we're not aligned with the greater truth. We're deviating from what source wants us to understand, which is the greatest truth, that we are love. Okay, that we are love and that we deserve love. And anything that deviates, anything that doesn't make us feel, is untrue. Okay, that doesn't make us feel positive energy. If it makes us feel negative energy, it is untrue. And so this is why it feels bad, because our higher self, our higher self knows when we're deviating from the path of oneness, and it kicks in with that compass of feelings and emotions, and it says, hey, pile number 2, you're starting to think an untrue thought. And the more you feed this thought, the more negative you feel, and the more you start to fuel this. And so your future self is saying, hey, you're in a situation here that is a little bit out of your control, and it's like this for a reason, where things aren't jiving and they're not harmonious, either with people around you, or the situation seems to not be at its best. And you do have protection here from your guides and your ancestors, and from guardians and people who want to see you protected. You are protected from the worst case scenario. The only person who can cause damage to self is yourself, by feeding into a thought that it can never happen for me, or things are really, really, really bad here. So there's a need for acceptance. And acceptance does not necessarily mean I deserve to be unloved or I deserve to be unhappy. The acceptance here is, I accept that this situation or the circumstance is like everything else that comes and goes. And so as this reveals itself as maybe a negative experience, it too shall pass. But my true belief of self is something that cannot come and go, because it is well rooted in who I am, outside of any experience, outside of any sort of energy that comes and goes. It's the me that's there before I was even born. And that me, the I, that's the I, cannot be impacted by no amount of negative things, and even positive things that happen can slowly turn. So whether something's positive or negative going on in my world, it doesn't determine or dictate my worthiness, because the I that's there is untouched. It is a pure I. It is the creator I that's there. It is being very aware and conscious that you are part of source. You are the divine being that might have a lot of sort of experiences, and these experiences, you can either fuel them and dictate and say this is who you are and what you deserve, or you can witness and observe them as an experience. And so I feel like there's an energy here of you being aware that you can shift your energy, and you could see whatever's happened. You could see whatever's happened, whether it be a positive or a negative sort of experience, and come to an understanding or a conclusion that this has happened to give me an experience, and that I don't know what my next experience is going to be. And so what could be pain and suffering in one sort of instance could suddenly change the next day or the next day. And so if I start to feed that energy, I might start to experience that more and more when I don't have to. I can detach myself from an experience, and I could give my energy and my appreciation to that which makes me feel good, which is me sort of knowing I am worthy, appreciating myself, accepting myself for who I am and what it is that I totally deserve. And in the meantime, I know that there's a greater sort of energy here that's guiding me out of the storm, that's protecting me. So I connect with this through prayer or through a deeper understanding here of knowing that there is a way for me to get to where I want to go, that the greatest version of me can come out of this, that there will be a resolution to this challenging time. It has to come because I will it to be, and because I am guided here, because I have belief that I am worthy of this, that it already exists. I don't need to seek it out. I am all that I am already. I don't need it to be shown to me. I don't need it to be proven to me. It already exists. The greatest version of me already exists. And so although I've experienced something as a setback here, as a challenging time, I know that I am worthy of being joyous again, and finding harmony again, finding balance again, finding a resolution to whatever I need to find a resolution to. However the universe wants to come up with it. It might not be in the way that I imagined it, but if it is love that I want, the universe will find a creative way to find that essence of the energy that I know I'm deserving of. And so we might feel as though we're sort of in this energy of not finding the groundedness maybe we really want or what we can sort of attach to. And spirit is saying, or I guess your future self through spirit to me is communicating about not attaching to anything and feeling that that is your security and your stability, because it's not. The security and the stability that you're seeking is already within you. It is the understanding that you're worthy and that your outside is going to be fluctuating and transient, some more transient than others. And so every situation is temporary. And so as you emerge, your authentic self emerges. It is the self that cannot be, transient or temporary. This emergence is the true self that is constant. And it is the self that understands the worthiness. It is the self that accepts situations will flow and fluctuate, and it has nothing to do with a reflection of self. And that sometimes things could be turbulent, but it isn't as painful when we witness it as an observer and know that it is something that is happening out of a creation and not dictating who we are, and we don't need to attach ourselves to it. And so I feel your future self is really sort of wanting you to lean in on asking your guides, God, whatever you believe in here, your ancestors, any guardians you have, to show you the way to yourself. Because if you feel you are not worthy, you cannot lie to self and say, I am worthy, and not feel it and believe it. Because we can say, I am worthy of love, I am worthy of whatever. And if we don't believe it, our self knows we don't believe it. And so we ask for a guiding hand here to really understand that we are worthy because we are source and we are already complete and whole. And any experience that has happened is an illusion, is just an illusion here because it comes and goes. And so it no longer exists once it passes. So if we attach to that and we keep feeding that, we start to think that's our reality. But in reality, it is something that's come and gone. We don't need to attach to it. And we don't need to seek for stability of something else outside of us. We just need to find that stability, that secure place from within us, accept the energy from within us, emerge as that understanding of self. And so when we come from a place of, with this generosity, it's how can I give? Okay, how can I give in this situation? Not how has this hurt me? How can I sit with this sort of pain and work my way out of this mentally or logically? Okay, this is how can I see what has happened here, but move with the essence of myself here that is above and beyond any experience that I had here, so I can give. And when we give to others and give to situations, we give to self. So we want to output as much love, and we want to output as much as we can of positivity. Okay, and this isn't this like toxic positivity, sort of just trying to convince ourselves of something. This is a true heart space felt feeling of, I know that I already exist whole and complete. I have to exist whole and complete because I am that of the source. And I know when I sit with myself that thoughts come and go. Okay, they come and go. And what is in between each of these thoughts? It is I observing these thoughts. Okay, and when we connect to that silence, that space between thoughts, we connect to ourself. That is the true essence of ourself. And it's kind of reflected in nature, you know, when we see all the space and then we see all the matter or objects. Okay, and we can say, well, which came first, the object, the matter, or the space? And of course, it's the space. The space has always been there. That is you. Your essence is always there. And matter will come and go. You know, trees will come and go, grass will come and go, people come and go. And so we are experiencing this. Okay, we are experiencing this through this lifetime. And when this lifetime is over, we're still energetically alive and existing in our true essence of who we are. So we accept that we are whole and complete. We know we're whole and complete. We might not feel it. So I feel like there's a need for you to send out a wish here to your guardians of protection and your God to allow you to see this, feel this, understand this concept, so that this great version of you can emerge in your own life here, because you will find resolution here, because it might feel like the end all be all here in a situation that might feel very challenging and we're not sure what it is we're supposed to do or how it will shift. And so we could get stuck in our mind, but all we're supposed to really focus on is this unique well-being, which is me and how I have a relationship with myself. Okay, because you could connect to your body, you could connect to your mind, which means it isn't you. Okay, if you can observe these things, that means it's not you, it's not the I. Same with experiences. It doesn't become who you are. So there's no way it could dictate who you are, because who you are is there in between each thought, in between each experience. The one that's having the experience. Okay, so I feel like there's a need for you to listen to your future self when it comes to understanding that you will find a resolution, that there needs to be an end to maybe how we connect with self or how we're connecting to others. When we're in relationship with everything and everyone, we might be skewed in how we are taking that relationship and how it's impacting our worthiness or how we see ourselves. And so a good way to do this is really to sit through prayer, and connection is what your future self is saying. Okay, and the more sort of output of positive energy we have here, the more we are of service to others, the more joy we bring into our own world. So I feel like the shift needs to be, what can I do here, you know? But I feel it starts with self, and until your cup is overflowing, then we cannot be there for anyone else. We cannot give to anyone else or anything else from a genuine place. It is from a place of attachment. It is from a place of an intention of attaining someone or something or an outcome. And when we come from that place, it always is unfulfilling. It's like drinking from an empty well here, okay? That you just, it's never fulfilling, because we always come across this disappointment. And so in order to not be disappointed, we don't want to attach ourselves to an external person, an external situation, an external thing that's going to bring to us the understanding that should already sort of be there. Okay, once we clear out the noise and the clutter, that we are absolutely worthy, we are whole and complete, and we accept the fact that we are this. And so then things start to shift here. Okay, so it's something for you to think about from your higher self, and also that your situation is very temporary here, okay, that it will pass. And with the number 10 here in this funeral looking like lady, I feel like there's an ending here in which it's much needed in order for there to be sort of a shift in contemplation and how you connect with self, in order for you to find a resolution that will then present itself as something that is giving to you, that appreciates you and respects you in a way here that makes you feel worthy, because now it is reflected back to you, okay, from a genuine place. And so the true self emerges from this, and true experience sort of emerges from this different place, rather than from a place of feeling unworthy or having to attain a feeling that we desire from certain situations or relationships or expectations of things around us. Okay, then it becomes more of a focus of, how can I output more love? How can I output more service? How can I output more generosity and gratitude and love and acceptance into this world? And when the focus becomes greater in that place of giving, then our whole outer world starts to shift here, and everything that aligns with us starts to show our worthiness, starts to prop us up, because we're no longer seeking it. We're now in that energy. We're marinating in the energy of love. We're marinating in the energy of being what it is that we thought we needed, that we thought we needed to attain, that we thought we didn't have. And once we act in that energy, we become that energy. And our reality has no choice but to show that that is our reality. That is who we are. We show love, we get love. We give service, we get service. Okay, but we have to believe this wholeheartedly. And to get there, it takes a lot of work. You know, and maybe it doesn't if we just understand this concept. But not to judge yourself and how we get there, but we can ask for help through prayer. And this is what your future self is talking about here, okay? Wow, these readings, I tell you, I must have some pretty amazing viewers here. I love your readings. I love you very much, pal number 2, and take care. All right. Hello, my gorgeous angels. Pile number 3. You guys picked card number 5 with alchemizing confusion into clarity. Look at that abstract card. Lots going on. And then we have the Marilyn Monroe dress that's on a hanger here that I thought was a little hand broom. Okay, so before I get into this energy, what are we looking at? Well, your future self is coming through with sort of guidance or a healing message or something you're needing to know that's going to help you in this time, or right here, right now message. Okay, so in order for you to know whether this is your messaging or not, I do ask you, use your intuition. what you will see, feel, or hear to determine whether the messaging is sitting right for you. I have pre-shuffled oracle cards. I've not looked at them. And as we do the card layout, you can certainly tap into your intuition. If you feel you want to go straight away to your reading, you can do that as well, although I don't guarantee that your channeling won't come through with this layout as it did for pile 1. So I don't know, it's up to you, but certainly I do this so that you can work on your own intuition and you don't need to rely on tarot readers or myself to deliver any messages because you are in contact with that energy. All right, so let's tap into what's going on here. I feel as though there's challenging for sure situation here, okay, with confusion, and this is being able to make sense of things that we can't make sense of at all, and 5 is a challenging number. It's all about conflict and loss. And it's a time of change. But the nice thing about the number 5 here is when we're going through this change and conflict, it's a point of rebuilding. It's the pivotal point where things start to sort of change here. And so we know that when we, the most challenging sort of situations happen in a certain way, but it's our sort of path into why something needed to happen in order for another set of things to happen here. So I feel like there is clarity here that's coming of this situation that feels really challenging for you, that when you look back on it, your future self is saying, I can now see if this had not happened, if I was not in this state, I couldn't have had the insight, or this outcome probably wouldn't have never happened. And so this is sort of with the alchemizing confusion into clarity. It's taking what we're potentially feeling right now as confusion, as holding it and saying, you might not make sense right now. I might not know what to do with you, confusion, but I know that certainty is coming, and I know that eventually I'm going to know what I'm supposed to make of this. And so I can work with what I have now to make the best decisions without seeing the biggest, overall picture here. I can make changes and decisions with what I have, because what I have is the only clarity I have to work with. So I feel with this dress, I'm getting a little bit of ego coming through here. Okay, and when I talk about ego, this is about us potentially living in our programming, in our subconscious, doing things potentially here that we're not really aware because it's coming from subconscious. Okay, and I am also feeling the broom, and I feel like the broom is us clearing away the noise and the clutter here that is keeping us feeling sort of stuck, or things that no longer need to be in the picture in order for there to be certainty and clarity. So when we have, let's say, I don't know, like a bin, I'm just going to make up an analogy, a bin, and it has, a bunch of gold bricks in there, and then it has a whole bunch of like dirty diapers, okay? We need to remove the dirty diapers, which serve no purpose, and remove and extract the gold. Okay, and so if we sit in a situation that's full of what we don't need and sort of what we desire, or something more of value to us, we have to make sense of what's valuable and what's not. And so we clear out the clutter. We get rid of the dirty diaper so that there's less noise, so that we can work with what we can work with. So I feel like there's a lot of a mishmash of things going on in your world here, some of which is of value, some of which you desire, some of which you don't. And you're having to make sense of this, and maybe you're feeling overwhelmed, or maybe you're letting the ego run the show. And when the ego runs the show, it's like talking you into keeping these dirty diapers. I don't know why this is an analogy just coming through, okay? Maybe there's a whole lot of shit you're dealing with here, okay? Other people's shit, immature shit, baby shit. I don't know why I'm talking like this, but this is coming through, okay? And so I feel like we need to sort of pick through what we need to hear to work with certain things, and be very aware and conscious and present, and know when our ego's running the show, and also know how we could sift through what we need and what we don't need. Okay, so this is what your high self, or sorry, your future self is coming through. And obviously future self does come through as the high self. Okay, because the high self is happening simultaneously for the extension of your whole life. So it knows, it knows the end story of kind of where you're going here, your high self. So it's now coming as your future self coming through to give guidance here, or what you're needing to know. Okay, so, and I just heard hindsight's 2020. So we have 15. The earth delights to feel your bare feet, and the winds long to play with your hair. Clothes, look at that. Clothes, the dress, and my email confirming. Oh my God, trifecta, triple. Those of you guys who have been here. My email, when it goes off, confirms what I'm saying. This being the dress and clothes is confirming, and it confirms what I said about ego. And 15 is the devil. Devil is sometimes coming through as an ego because it's the shadow self. So the delights of life, I feel like there's something very valuable here that transcends what is sort of superficial going on in your world here, okay? The earth delights to feel your bare feet, and the winds long to play with your hair. I think there's something very significant here going on, that we are not conscious or present to, because we are too fixated, or we're too subconscious to recognize something here. And I feel it keeps us bound to the unhealthy. Okay, and when I say bound to the unhealthy, it's like we end up being stuck to something here that's not for the greatest good of a greater value here. And so it's not freedom. Okay, let's keep going. This one's an interesting reading. 24, or the number 6, the frequency of Earth activates our deep connection to this physical plane by showing us the beauty of all the aspects of our great mother and revealing the more ethereal, spiritual aspects of our nature. I feel like you're kind of dealing in a matrix world here, where there's things going on that are in front of you and seem to matter, but in the grand scheme of things, I feel don't really matter so much, okay? And I feel like you're not seeing it. And so your future self is talking about this ethereal, spiritual aspect that matters more right now around you. But we're attached to or fixated on something more earthly. Okay, so we have truth. Look at that. And we have all these clouds, which is more of the confusion here. So truth, there's only one truth. There's only one sort of reality truth here. Okay, and it is conscious truth. It is source truth. It is not experience. It is not mind. It is not the matrix world. Our day in, day out, our actions, our dependencies, our addictions, our whatever we're experiencing, that isn't the truth. The truth is the core self here, the deeper self here. That is the truth. And so what we're experiencing in our life here is causing a lot of confusion and a lot of suffering. Priority, yes, I feel we're choosing the ego. We're choosing the ego. And so I feel like I don't know how I'm going to deliver this message. So I'm going to ask your future self to help me to deliver this as best I can here, but because I don't think you got the dirty diaper analogy, because I feel like you're seeing the dirty diaper in equal relation to the greater truth here. And so maybe on an intuitive level, we know they're not equal or balanced, the gold versus the dirty diaper, whatever we're experiencing in the matrix versus this deeper knowing, this spiritual love. Okay. There's a greater truth here, and I feel we might know it intuitively, but I feel like we're attached to something in the physical plane here, because I feel like we still haven't shined the light on the devil. We still haven't admitted some sort of truth here to ourselves. And it could be because we subconsciously feel we don't deserve it, or subconsciously we're acting from some shadow place here, repeating this program. Okay, because when we are in devil, we have an understanding that we're stuck in some way. And this is all coming from the subconscious, but it cannot be in the subconscious if we're aware of it. If we're conscious of our ego or our action, if we're actually aware and conscious of it, it no longer becomes shadow. We're now present. We can now make different decisions. And so I feel like there's something here on autopilot or out of programming. And so we're needing to, again, with the alchemizing, separate the shit from the gold and prioritize, because I feel like you're attaching yourself to shit, if I got to be honest with you, okay? And this is the only way I know how to communicate this, so your higher self must be quite blunt. And when I say attaching, it's like our actions, our energy, our fuel, what we're choosing to do is the lower vibrational thing. That intuitively there's a higher vibrational thing that is more connected to love, that's more connected to spirit, that's more connected to tapping into the truth of who we actually are, that doesn't cause confusion and pain and suffering, that doesn't make us feel discombobulated. And it's our job to turn that sort of noise into clarity by stilling where we're at, being truthful and being very present and aware of our actions and being very honest. Because I think you know better. Protection for the vulnerable heart. Number 10. So we could be acting in this way because we're not wanting to be vulnerable and exposed. We could be reacting out of the subconscious as a protective mechanism. We don't want to be hurt. We don't want to be exposed. We don't want to be vulnerable. We don't want to experience pain. Okay, but I feel like what your future self here is saying is, when you acknowledge that there is pain, that is the first step. And it's not just acknowledging it so it goes away, because it knows when you're being genuine and authentic and truthful. It's acknowledging the pain as you would a child. And a baby is, again, baby analogy keeps coming through. So I feel like, I don't know, maybe you're in your early stages here of some sort of spiritual awakening, some sort of coming into some early energy of a shift in your life with this baby analogy. But when a baby cries, we don't say, shut up, baby. Or we don't just hug it and say, okay, there now, so just be quiet so I could get on with my day. We sit there and we really want to listen to the child. What's happened? Why are you suffering? Even a friend, if a friend's crying or upset, what's happened? And we listen. Sometimes if we're feeling genuine and authentic and care about our friend. But we don't do this with ourselves, especially our inner child that's hurting here. And so our inner child wants to be heard. And our inner child is not heard, and so it acts out in certain ways that appear in the ego, appear in the shadow, appear as devil, and turn a whole bunch of chaos in our world. And so there's a need to get grounded and centered with the truth of what we're prioritizing. And so it starts with recognizing that there's pain within us. Heart, please guide me in what I'm supposed to do here with my inner child. And we don't have to sort of completely unpack the root so much as the understanding of where the pain sort of is. Is this a pain stemming from me feeling unworthy? If I tell myself, well, I'm a big loser, Okay, I'm a big loser. Like, that's not really the root of it. It's like, why do I feel this way? It's because it's stemming from a place of unworthiness. Okay, and so we know intuitively we're not unworthy. Okay, we know from a heart space. So we were either programmed to believe we were unworthy, we either experienced certain situations made us feel unworthy. This is just an example. And so we start to relive and believe this unworthiness through our actions, through our addictions, through our being stuck and living in shit. Okay, but if we hear that I'm a loser, and we go to our inner child and we listen and we say, you are worthy, as you would your child, right? If your child says, so-and-so didn't play with me at school, no one wanted to play with me, you want to say, well, that's probably because you're a loser and a little unworthy. You would say, well, you are worthy, and so didn't want to play with you, but that has nothing to do with who you are and the truth of the core of your essence. You're a beautiful child. Okay, this doesn't go away because we get older. This child is still in there, and it's suffering from whatever point of whatever part of yourself that got traumatized as a child or as an experience here. And so it gets tucked away in our cellular sort of energy. Okay, it sits there. It doesn't go away. Energy doesn't go away. It's these are the blocks we talk about in our chakras. So as it sits there, it needs to get sort of released in some way by us addressing and acknowledging. And the best way to depolarize this negative energy is to give it the opposite, which is love. So if it's a negative energy, we give it love. We listen, we give it more love. Acceptance. Okay, and we don't rush it. We don't say, well, how long are you going to sit there? We're gonna allow it its space to feel the pain. We're gonna allow it the space to cry out, and we're going to tell it that we're there for it as long as it takes. And when we're genuine about it, it somehow vanishes because we shed the light and we see the truth. We're no longer bound to devilish thoughts, illusions that we're unworthy. We now see beyond this, the greater truth. We see beyond the clouds, that we are not the clouds and the thoughts that come up. Okay? We are the sky. The sky is always there. And the sky doesn't matter if the clouds are black, if the clouds are puffy and white, the clouds are non-existent. The sky is always there. That is the I. That is you. Okay, consciousness. And so as clouds come and go, the thought I'm a loser, the thought that this is what I made of this, it dissipates. And so the truth is, us being the sky, us being the creator, us being conscious awareness, know that we are pure love. We are pure light. We are light beings. And any darkness that we're hanging on to is in the subconscious that needs to be addressed. And it is the ego. And the ego will fight and tell you you're wrong. And the ego will try to claw its way to maintain itself. And this is why it's very painful when we deal with the ego, because it knows your ways. It knows how to sort of con you and trick you. And you could just say, hey, ego, I know your ways. I know your devilish ways. You're trying to get into my mind. You're trying to feed me into old thought. You're trying to convince me of something, to confuse me. But I am turning all of this confusion that you're making in my mind, that I know isn't real, that's keeping me stuck, and that's keeping my pain alive. And I'm going to turn this into clarity and truth. Because once I follow the truth, I get clarity. Okay? The truth is the only real reality thing here. There's only one truth. Okay? Now we could perceive it in many different ways, but that doesn't take away from the actual truth of the matter. That you are a light being, that you are one with the Creator. That is the ultimate truth, despite how you might be seeing things and engaged with things. Yes, you might be acting out of subconscious. Yes, you might have done things here you're not proud of. Yes, there's certain things you might be choosing. But the ultimate truth is that you're more than all of that. And once you wake up to this sort of reality. You're no longer in this confusion. You could see through this illusion. You see through the devil. You can address your pain. You prioritize what matters to you, knowing that you are sort of the ultimate being here, that like all that matters is really you. Okay? All that matters is really you. Miracles. Look at that. So, I feel like we might have been losing hope on something here, and so your future self is talking about a miracle coming through. 49, look at this exclamation mark. Maybe this is why your reading is coming through as energetically as it is with me, because I do feel there's a sense of urgency and sort of a wake up here. Okay, like, I don't know, future self I think is slapping you upside the head here. Pile number 3. Card 13. 13 is about, 49, which is 13. 13 is about transformation and death. I feel like the death here is the old self needs to fall away, the ego self, the mind self, the voice of self that keeps us stuck. Because there's greater pleasures to life here that you're not allowing yourself to open your eyes to. Okay? Let's see how this miracles come into play. 14 with expression, with these fairies. Expression, this is all about our authentic self, and I feel like this is also how we take action. So I feel like our actions are aligned with our authentic self. And 14 is temperance, which is all about alchemy, and you got alchemizing confusion into clarity. So 14 is Sagittarius with the temperance and finding balance and turning confusion into clarity, turning whatever sort of understanding we have that might be not based in reality into something that is truthful and based in reality, okay? And so only the ego, only the matrix self can create these projections in front of us that look very real, but are not real. And what's coming through is when we go to sleep, we have dreams, okay? And we have a dream, whatever that dream may be. And we dream of, I don't know, sitting at the beach, and we see the water, and we feel the sun, and all of that stuff seems very real to us, and we see it, and we feel it, and we connect with it. And so the I is present there. And when you wake up, you say, well, that was a dream. But you, the I, was there as a part of that reality. As a part of that reality. You weren't there thinking, oh, this is all fake, this is all a dream. You were really, the I essence was there experiencing that dream. And so this is what this life is. You experiencing a dream of your higher self, of consciousness here on earth as a body being, experiencing life, expressing life. Okay, but when we start to believe that we are our ego, when we start to take ourselves so seriously in our mind, we start to suffer. We start to think we're attached to things, and it creates all sort of suffering. So I feel like there's a need for you to understand where there is truth and where there is illusion. So how we know it's ego is it's coming from a place of needing to attain for some sort of benefit, because we feel we need to attach ourselves to something external so we could fill ourselves. Or if we're protecting, and so we start to blame, and we start to do that sort of an energy, because the ego will do that too, to conserve itself and have a negative sort of reaction. But all of ego's reactions is all illusion. It's the mind with a narrative story kind of coming through, telling you that you have to believe certain things or act in certain ways, okay? But the truth is that when we quiet the mind, when we don't listen to ego, the heart comes through as the authentic being. We connect to self. Initiation. Look at that. So I do feel, because that baby analogy, like the beginning, early stages, something here with initiation. I think we're cracking open this sort of concept. My high vibes heal the world. Oh my goodness. Pile 1 had similar energy here as well. Okay, which is about us shifting from matrix self, from ego self, from addictive self, which addiction could be our mind speak, our unhealthy ways of believing who we are, to seeing the truth of who we are, shedding the ego, releasing what doesn't serve us because it is an illusion, so that we can make the world a better place. We heal self, we heal our addictions, we heal our beliefs, our negative sort of constructs that have been planted in us, that we carried around subconsciously. And we start to prioritize what actually matters, which is the true sort of essence of who you are. And we could be in delight here, just walking the earth, feeling life as it happens in the present moment, not attaining something because we'll forever be chasing. Okay, so whatever's happening kind of in the moment is there as an experience. So we need to be very present, and our mind can't be on, that future vacation, or when I'm off at 4 o'clock, or that next thing, because now we're seeking external sort of happiness here, okay? When the happiness is happening right now. The happiness could be happening right now if we're present and we let go of the mind ego. So what your future self here is saying, and I feel your channeling came through with all the cards here, is that you're coming into an awareness here that feels very different than what you've known. And that your situation or your circumstance has been dictating your happiness here, and it doesn't need to. And that anything that you might have experienced coming through as a miracle is actually your truest self coming through to the rescue here. Because your authentic self doesn't need to be taught or relearned. It already knows. And why we can't see your authentic self at all times is because we could be in darkness, in ego. And so this is the clutter we were talking about, sifting through the baby diapers and the gold bars, which is me and which is just an illusion of me. And so your future self is saying that if it doesn't feel good, if it's something that you're externally sort of attaching to, but it could fluctuate, it could go up or down, it could be bad or good, then that isn't your truth. That isn't your true self, because now you're dependent on an external set of circumstances. Okay, and that the true pure gold here is underneath all that, and it's never gone anywhere. It needs to be revealed. It might be hidden in the clouds because it's in the subconscious. So we need to be very present and conscious and asking ourselves, where am I right now in the present? Am I in my mind? Am I feeding that negative thought or that subconscious action that makes me give in to my addiction, makes me give in to my whatever my trauma is here? Or am I stopping myself, and this might take a bit, because I feel you're at the early stages of stopping and asking ourselves, why am I doing this? Why am I believing this? Is this true or is this not? Can I discard of this or do I hang on to this? And we realize we don't hang on to nothing, because the I, the self, isn't really a thing so much as it is an experience of consciousness. So there is nothing to hang on to. There's just being. And as we remove the clutter of noise and all of this stuff, we start to prioritize this beautiful light of ours, and we start to see things completely different. We start to come into this beautiful energy, and the authentic self starts to express itself, and we start to see miracles before us, and we start healing the heart, and we start to make the world a better place. We start to heal the earth. We start to feel more grounded, more present, and seeing that the reality of the earth is nature happening, coming and going, and being reborn, and death, and the cycle of life. Okay, but the consistent energy, though, is the conscious awareness that is you. that is forever lasting energy, that cannot be taken away, cannot go anywhere. Okay, pile number 3, this is your reading. So I don't know, I feel like maybe there is guidance here, you know, from your future self, because I feel like it was more explaining something to you that maybe you weren't understanding. So I feel you are sort of battling some sort of devil here, you know, and it could be just the thoughts, the mind speak, the limitation we have, the actions we're taking that are strictly an ego and subconscious, reactionary. So, spirits, guidance, please, from pile 3's future self, so that pile 3 understands what this messaging is about. Why are they getting this message? Guidance, please, for beautiful pile number 3. Please protect me and the viewer as I channel this message for the greatest and highest good of pile 3. And thank you so much, pile 3, for allowing me to tap into your energy, the energy around you at this time. I'm so blessed, so grateful that you're here today. And I do hope these messages resonate for you today. The star, right above miracles. This is our hopes and our wishes for the future. You know, having faith. Seeing like a future sort of attainment for ourselves here. Okay, this is also about destiny. Ace of Wands. Inspired action. A new beginning. Mother of Cups. This is Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces energy. It's the most love I could pull from the tarot here, from the Queen of Cups. Okay, it's a loving, giving energy here. And we have 9 Pentacles. And this is all about the self. You know, being confident in self, making ourself available here. And being sort of an independent energy that knows you can sort of attain whatever you're wanting to attain here. And make it happen. Why is this Ace of Wands here, spirits? Pile number 3's future self guidance. We have the Tower and the 4 of Cups. So the Tower is sort of the false falling away. You know, it could be something very shocking that kind of comes into our realization where our old beliefs sort of fall away here. And 4 of Cups is us being sort of despondent, maybe not interested in what the universe is putting in front of us, which is, again, this coming through. You know, the universe is putting in front of us. The earth delights to feel your bare feet, and the winds long to play with your hair. And so, we could be humming and hawing over, I don't know, sorting through the dirty diapers here, missing out on something, and something coming into your awareness. 4 of Pentacles in reverse. It needs to let go of some sort of comfort zone, some sort of security we have, and it's a false sense of security here. And look at some long-term hope, some long-term miracle that we can attain and be available for and go after, which I feel is this love. Okay, I feel like there's love being offered to you, or there's a creative sort of energy here that's full of love that the universe has available to you. But I feel we need to let go of something here. And we got to move out of this 4 Cups energy, which is, why am I suffering? What didn't work? Focused on the things that don't necessarily matter here. When the universe is happening right here, right now in front of you, wanting you to get inspired, to move towards love, to move towards creativity, to know that you can have this long-term sort of happiness, attain all your wishes, be completely sort of successful here in your own sort of being, by making yourself available, by having this sort of understanding. But it would really require you letting go of some sort of concept, some sort of matrix world here with the Pentacles. You know, we're hanging on to something here. And so we need to ask ourselves in the subconscious, like, why are we hanging on to this? Am I hanging on to this because of a pain body? Of an understanding here, keeping something alive rather than letting it go? And let's get a deeper layer here for pile number 3. I feel pile 3 is needing a little bit more guidance here. Anything I'm missing, spirits, from pile 3's future self? What are they wanting to tell pile number 3? So we have Aquarius energy, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces energy, like I mentioned. 2 Swords. We're sitting indecisive. We're not making any sort of authentic decisions. And so we sit in confusion, burying our head in the sand. Here's the Father of Cups. Okay, so now we have divine counterparts. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. The Father of Cups loves the deepest. So there could certainly be a relationship here. Okay, this could be coming into balance with your masculine, your feminine energy, your shadow with your light. Integrating parts of yourself here, but leaning into heart consciousness. Leaning into our intuition, okay? Because Cups is all about intuition, our creative sort of abilities here. It's all about our emotions. And I feel we're sitting here indecisive, focused on the dirty diapers. Mother of Swords in reverse here. We're not seeing clearly which way to go. We're sitting sort of not taking the control in our own life here because we feel immobilized or held back by some sort of devil. So we're not very clear. Okay, and also with the owl, this is about wisdom. So we might not be wise enough to see something here because it's in the subconscious. And here's the Ace of Pentacles, a new beginning and manifesting something worthwhile, something worth having. And we have the 9 Wands. This is the wounded warrior. Okay, the wounded warrior who's been through battle and has been very hurt. Protection for the vulnerable heart. And so the wounded warrior sits here. One last wand before sort of collapsing into this tower, because 10 wands is certainly the fall of the tower. And so in 9 wands, we're sitting defensive and we're not sure. Do we continue? Do we throw in the towel? You know, do we retreat or do we keep fighting? And the wounded warrior certainly is a fighter here, but needs to take a step. And you see it's ascension, so it's getting closer and closer to the authentic self, despite fears. Because as we get closer to some truth, we start to see fears. You know, the fear comes out, the ego comes out, and it starts to talk to us about why we should fear it. And it gets louder and louder, and the fear gets louder, but we ascend as we get working through the fear. And so I feel like there's a need to work through fear, take action, and find balance. Okay, and for some of you, like I said, it could certainly be a relationship here. Inspired action to have a new beginning here. We have 2 new beginnings with the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Pentacles to act up on manifestation. But we're needing to understand something about self. We're needing to get clear about something here. We're needing to make ourselves available and confident that we can make change in our own life and let go of the dirty diapers. Pile number 3. And this is what I have for you guys. Bottom of the deck, we have the 4 of Cups, and I don't read bottom of the deck in reverse. Sorry, not 4 of Cups, 6 of Cups. Okay, and the 6 of Cups is it's giving me person, place, thing of the past that we connect to, that we identify with, you know, our family, our upbringing. And so do we have beliefs in our upbringing here that we're attached to that we need to let go of, that are giving us a false sense of security? You know, there's an inner child needing to be heard. And this is also giving me soulmates, because 6 of Cups is my soulmates energy. And I'm getting 2 swans here. Okay, swans for me are twin flames. And also, I feel here there is this energy of reconciliation, soul family coming together with the 6 Cups. So I feel like this is the forgiveness, the healing, the innocence card. Okay, so I feel like there's a need to sort of take some sort of action on some long-term vision of hope, rather than maybe sitting idle or sitting in fear or not taking a step here in ascension. But we need to get very clear and very honest. And it could be that someone here energetically is sort of in this upside down energy, which is a heavy boundary. Someone could be very upset or very cold. Okay, so this is what I have for you guys, pile number 3. I hope this resonated for you guys. Let me know in the comments. These readings were quite interesting today. So I will see you soon. Bye-bye.